All right, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in the frames on the inside of the boat. So that's going to be the pieces that will extend right here, 4 frames on either side, and that's going to be what holds up the seats and then also gives the boat stability. There's a couple different things that we're going to do in order to do that. The first one is we have to take the measurements from the real boat and then bring them to scale. So the first thing is we know that see if I can turn this around, that the frames are at 28 inches. Oh, this is feet. Yeah. 28 inches, 53 inches, 102 inches, and 132 inches. And so this is a 1/8 scale model. So in our model, it's 1/8 of an inch is an inch in real life. So all we have to do in order to convert those is to look at doing the same thing with a division problem. So this is 28/8, and that converts down. If you divide 28 by 8 is 24 with 4 left over, so that's 20. So 24 is 3, right? And then 4/8 is 1/2. So for that first one is going to be 3.5, right? Or 3 4/8, and then when we simplify it, it becomes 3.5. So then we'll measure on the boat 3.5 inches from the front of the boat all the way 3.5 inches down, and then that's where we're going to make our mark. So why don't you pause the video now and then work on these problems. So 53/8, 102/8, and 132/8. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video now and see if you got it right. So how did it go? Did you get the answers that you wanted? So we have 53 divided by 8. That's going to be, we got 8 goes into 53 6 times, and then there's 5 left over. So there's 6 5/8. The second one, 102/8 goes into 102 12 times, right? With 3/4. So what's 3/4? It's going to be 6/8, right? And then the last one is 132 is 16 times, right? So that's going to be 16 with 4 left over. So it's going to give us 16.5. So once you have those numbers, then what we can do, you'll notice that, with our little rulers, we can't exactly measure 16 inches from the front of the boat. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our boards here, and we are going to make what's called a tick stick, right? And that tick stick is going to give us an opportunity to make sure both sides are equal, and then also to mark both sides as they go back. So go ahead and take out your ruler, and we're going to start on this side, and we're just going to measure from the end. So go ahead and zero it out, and you're going to measure. The first one is going to be 3.5. We're just going to make a mark right on 3.5, okay? And the second one, that's 6 5/8. So we've got 6, right? A half, right? A half is going to be 4/8, and we're going to go up 1 more eighth than that, and that's going to be here we go, 6, half, and an eighth. So there, that is 6 5/8, right? The next one is 12 3/4. So the way that I'm going to do this with the 12 3/4 is I'm going to measure to 12, and then I'm just going to move my ruler over again, and from that mark, I'm going to measure 3/4, okay? So, and this one, I'm going to just put an X on it because that's not, we're not going to use that. So the 12 3/4 we measure, right? And then we'll do that again. So we got measure to 12, we go to our X, right? And then we're going to get 16.5. So in order to do that, I'm going to go up 4.5. 16 plus 4.5, or sorry, 12 plus 4.5 is going to give us 16.5. So here we go. Sorry. Go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1/2. Okay. So now we have this stick and it's all set up and ready to go, and we can use it in the boat to mark our distances. What we're going to do in order to do that, now always remember which side is which, right? So this one is going to be our 3.5 right at the front. You can always double check that too. Yep. We're going to measure from the bow 3.5. So you can see that from the bow here, right at the front, 3.5, and we're going to make a mark. Okay. And then we're going to go down to our second mark, which is 6 5/8. And then in order to get the other marks, what we're going to do is we're actually going to slip it underneath the board so that you can measure like that. Okay. So try and keep it as straight as I can. I'll just make a mark just right there like that. And then the last one, again, mark it, stay at the bow, and we're going to mark that one there. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to switch it and do it on the other side. Start at the bow. There's 1. There's 2. Go under. There's 3. Always check your bow measurement so it doesn't move. And there's 4. Okay. So now we've got the pieces marked. And what we can do is you can take a card, right? One of the blue cards from your pack, and you can square up the measurements. And the way that we're going to do that is just put the card on the bottom. I hope it's not confusing with the numbers on there. Okay. Put the card on the bottom, and we're going to make a mark along the rail that's square to the bottom. Now, what's important here is that my bottom is, the bottom of the card is facing the center line, okay? So that the frames are not going to be tilted out like this, but they're going to be tilted straight up because there is a little bit of a rise to the keel, okay? We're going to do the same thing on this side. There's 2. And when I get to the other side of the center line, I'm going to change my direction so that the card is facing the center again, right? So this way, I've got my arrow like that, okay? Same thing, right? Now, there it is like that. Okay, so now I've got 4 lines. I'm going to repeat the process on the other side. Okay. It's always hard to get a good view. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Okay. And again, the card is facing the center of the boat. 1. Now, it's much easier to use a pencil than it is to use a pen. Now we're going to switch it over. Again, the card is facing the center of the boat. 2. Almost done here. And then now we got this side as well. Okay. So now the frames are marked. And the next process is going to be just to cut the frames, okay?